Well, here's the thing. I mean, making decisions in groups is hard. But you know what? It doesn't have to be hard, and I don't think that we have to make bad decisions. There are right and wrong ways to do these things. I think that good group decision making is a learned behavior that we can get better at. And another thing about where I live is it is a co-housing community. 27 homes, here's the map, making decisions together by consensus, at least we try. And my gosh, I have learned a lot about group decision making right in my own neighborhood. Look, here's what I see. I'm going to show you three what I think are the most common mistakes that groups make. The top three in Craig's book are applying the wrong decision method, engaging the wrong group of people in making the decision, and just having a poor decision-making process. Let me tell you about the first one in a little more detail. There's basically three major ways that groups make decisions. Think of this as a spectrum. On one end of the spectrum, over here is what we would call one decider. This is where one person decides for the whole group. Let's just move down the spectrum a little bit, down the chain. At this end would be consensus decision making, where the whole group is involved in making a decision on behalf of the whole group. Now, the thing is, one decider is easiest to do, and it works well when the stakes are relatively short-lived and going to affect a small amount of people. When the stakes are high, when you're making a decision that is going to last a long time, maybe even extend multi-generations and affect a lot of people over a long amount of time, consensus is most appropriate for that type of decision. For decisions in the middle, perhaps majority rule. Now, when I'm talking about groups, I'm referring to all kinds of groups. You know, I'm apt to use the term group decision making or what makes for a good group decision. I mean all kinds of groups. Whenever we make decisions with one or a huge group of people. The United Nations is a group making decisions. So are parliaments and national legislatures across the country, state legislatures, corporate management teams, town governments, firefighting units, community-based groups, nonprofit boards of directors, clubs, and even the hardest group of all some of this stuff applies to, families. This is my family right here, and you know, this is where group decision making for many of us is the hardest, because the stakes are very high. I have seen groups do the mechanics perfectly. It's well organized, it's on time, all the right people are there. Maybe even it's really the perfect method applied to the decision in terms of scale, but still it doesn't end up being a good group decision. The decision doesn't last. There is discontent and resentment in the wake of the decision. There are unintended consequences, conflict, whatever. And usually what we find is the problem, for lack of a better word, is some people's attitudes. I'm sorry to have to bring it to you, but it's true. Attitude matters. And the attitude that I bring to the table when I am participating in a group decision really does make a difference. There are attitudes that are extremely helpful to group decision making, that will move the process along, contribute to efficiency, and help create a peaceful environment. And there are attitudes that are outright unhelpful. Let me tell you about some of those. So these are the ones, just a few to talk about for starters. I know best. When somebody comes to the table thinking that they already know the answer and that they are sure they have the right answer, that's a very difficult attitude to deal with if you're trying to make a good group decision. A second one related to it, my mind is made up. A person comes to the table who is unwilling to be educated or persuaded any differently than the way they walked in the room. With either of these two first ones, I know best, my mind is made up, one wonders, why have a meeting? Why even make it a group decision? The group is adding no value, rather the opposite is having. These bad attitudes are holding the group down and causing conflict. A third attitude that is simply not helpful: I don't like anything about you. Now, it may be that you did something once that I didn't like, and you know what? That's okay. But that is not a reason to not like anything about you. In fact, when I am in a meeting with you, when I'm trying to make good group decisions with you, I am looking for good things about you. You know, that's an excellent point about conflict. This gentleman, for those of you who couldn't hear, has made the point that well, basically, it's the old adage, you know, that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That if we can take steps to prevent conflict from happening in the first place, it saves a whole bucket of trouble later. I think this is worth talking some more about. We have a little time, so let's have another one of our table discussions. I'm going to write this question on the screen, and I would like you to discuss at your tables what you think are the, shall we say, the most important ingredients for conflict prevention. Okay, you can see on the screen here, I've given you some alternative ways to think of the same question. Let's give another 2 minutes or so and see what you come up with as an answer to these questions. Here's the question. What will I do in light of what I have learned? Now, we've done a lot of group interaction stuff today and a lot of talking as a group, but let's do this a little differently. I'm asking that we take just a minute of silence and ponder this question.